My name's Chuck Russell. I'm the fire chief for the city of Apple Valley. Thank you for attending our informational session tonight. Good to see we got a good group showing up tonight. Also on the call with me is Deputy Chief Matt Nelson. He's going to be watching the chat. So as we go along, you can either open up your mic and ask some questions, or just throw something in the chat if you like, and then Matt will get back to you. Got about a half hour, 40 minutes worth of materials to go through tonight. So I'm just going to get started. So what we're going to talk about tonight, a little bit on the history, organization, talk about our fire stations, what we do as a fire department, what activities we partake in. And then if you would also make sure everyone who's out there, make sure you've got your mics muted. I hear some background noise going on there. I know it can be hard to hear me if the mics aren't muted. And then talk about both what we do for training and then what the recruit class is going to be doing for training, so you understand what the recruit process is all about. So Apple Valley Fire Department actually began as Lebanon Fire Department. It was a township way back in '66. In 1960, the population of Lebanon was about 500 folks, and by 1970, just over 8,000. So a big growth during that time frame. Instead of contracting with Rosemount Fire, they decided to start their own fire department. So 43 charter members. And they bought 2 engines. They built the fire station off of City Hall. Their first chief's name was Jerry Holliday. He's the one in the picture down below on the far right-hand side there. Today, we're 75 volunteer paid-on-call firefighters, and I just want to make sure everyone understands when we say volunteer paid-on-call, it's kind of a mixture of terms, but basically it's not a full-time job, it's a part-time job. We take our neighbors and friends who live in Apple Valley and teach them to become firefighters and teach them to serve the community by responding to emergency calls in your free time. When you're not doing your full-time job, you're not going to kids' events. There are just some requirements that you need to follow, and we'll cover that as we go on. So that's the volunteer paid-on-call firefighter side of things. We also have 5 career staff, myself and Matt. We have a fire marshal and fire inspector and a department assistant. And they do the administrative side of things for the most part and inspect buildings both under construction and existing to make sure that they follow the fire codes. And as far as firefighters on the department, they range in years of service of just about a year up to 38 years of service. So lots of experience on the department. Well, last year, 2020, we responded to just over 2,000 calls. You can see the calls per station listed there. Station 2 is our busiest station. Station 3, it's in the center of town. So if ever we call for all stations or all trucks to go out, Station 2 is getting called every time. So Station 3 is a little bit slower. They're still filling in the gravel pit over there. Once that fills in, I imagine they're going to fall in line with Station 1, grab an extra, 100 calls or so there in the next, 5-8 years, something like that. You also see our duty crew is listed there at over 1,000 calls. So we staff a duty crew. That's 2 firefighters in a truck on a 4.5-hour shift. So Monday through Thursday, there's 2 4.5-hour shifts. We run from 8 to 5. Then on Fridays, it's 8 to 9:30 at night. So there's 3 4.5-hour shifts. And on Saturday, there's 2 shifts from 12:30 to 9 o'clock at night. So it's firefighters, the paid-on-call firefighters want to work those shifts, sign up for them. There's some limitations on the number of shifts you can have because we can't have people working too many hours. Otherwise, you're no longer part-time employees. But we watch that pretty closely. The paid-on-call firefighters have a lot of fun working their duty crew shifts. What it allows us to do is to have known staffing during the daytime hours, especially when most of the folks tend to be off at work, to handle a lot of those medical calls and those type things. And also get a lot of miscellaneous duties done, truck checks, equipment checks, things like that. The fire department also conducted 1,573 fire inspections, mostly between the fire marshal and fire inspector over the course of 2020. Our fire station 1 is located on County Road 42 in Hayes. It was built in 1975. That's the one on the bottom picture there. A nice tilt slab construction building. I told you the first station was added on to City Hall off of Cedar Avenue, back when that's where City Hall was. Then they put Station 1 up in 1975. We remodeled it in 1990, added on some extra space. So it used to be ALF ambulance, now it's Alina ambulance, leases space out of there. The fire department doesn't run the ambulance service for Apple Valley. Alina runs the ambulance service for Apple Valley. We do first responder work with them. So their ambulances and their administrative offices are at Station 1 in Apple Valley. There's room for 24 firefighters out of Apple Valley, and it has our main training classroom right now. The apparatus out of Station 1, we have Engine 1, Ladder 1, utility pickup, and our command van. We picked up a command van, or replaced our command van a couple years back here, moving up in technology just a little bit. Talking a little bit about this is our Engine 1. I just want to let you know what we have for an engine. We run rescue pumpers with our engines. So they seat 5 firefighters. They have a 1,500 gallon per minute water pump on their Wattress. We carry a couple thousand feet of fire hose and have a 500 gallon water tank, hydraulic rescue tools, cribbing, airbags, anything like that that we need to both effect a rescue and put out a fire. So that's our philosophy. Some departments will have their rescue equipment on the ladders. We choose to have ours on our engines. And they generally run most medicals on that as well. Station 2, 140th and Galaxy. It was initially built in 1979. You can see the bottom picture where the city went for a public safety bond back in 1978 and were able to build stations 2 and 3 at that time. And in 2003, we remodeled both stations 2 and 3, added an extra bay, some extra day room office space onto there. Station 2 has 24 firefighters. It's our report to work point for our duty crew. That's where our duty crew truck is housed out of. So it's got Engine 2 and Engine 22, both are rescue pumpers. There's Rescue 2, the bottom picture there. That is our duty crew truck. It's got a ultra high pressure pump in it, so it's not set up like a traditional fire truck. Generally designed for a 2-person crew to do almost anything they need on any given call. There's also a utility pickup and our Zodiac inflatable boat at Station 2. Station 3 is over on Essex and Pilot Knob Road. Just like Station 2, built in 1979, remodeled in 2003, and they have 24 firefighters out of Station 3. You can see the bottom, the original picture for Station 3. They had the nice mansard roof on there. It was truly built in 1979 and fashioned after that. You can see the painted fire hydrant out in front. Back in the day, Station 3 definitely had a little bit of I don't want to call it an attitude, but they definitely like to do things their way. And one way of showing that was putting the Sparky painting, the Dalmatian painting on the fire hydrant. The city doesn't allow that anymore. City insists on red fire hydrants from now on. The apparatus out of Station 3, they have the Engine 3 and Ladder 3, a utility pickup, sprinkler demonstration trailer, and they also have the Special Operations Team structural collapse truck. The Special Operations Team is a Dakota County-wide team. Police and fire agencies from all across Dakota County give members. We have the structural collapse truck and bring it to the scene if they get a call. That's our contribution. We have staff vehicles, 4 chief vehicles. We take our vehicles home with us. So there's deputy chief and myself, and then we have 2 paid on-call assistant chiefs that also get squads, and we basically function as command role on scenes. And the fire marshal also has a take-home vehicle. So we have a variety of specialty equipment that we have in the department. Thermal imaging cameras, the picture in the upper left-hand corner there. We go with Bullard. We've been with Bullard for quite a while. Basically allows you to see the infrared images. You can see through smoke, see through darkness, basically, to find heat sources. Hydraulic rescue tools, you can see the picture in the middle there, that's back. We originally got our hydraulic rescue tools in about 1975, and we were called out all across the county whenever there was a wreck where they couldn't get someone out. We'd be going down into Farmington and all over, helping pry people out of cars back then until others started to get their own tools. AEDs, most people know what AEDs are. We have multi-gas detectors so we can look for carbon monoxide and other dangerous gases. Rescue struts to support collapsed buildings or rolled over cars, airbags to support cars or lift things. This is a picture of Able. We call it our Able training facilities. Able's Apple Valley, Burnsville, Lakeville, and Egan. All 4 of us went together and pitched in. The bottom right picture there is a picture of our old tower. It used to be a separate burn tower, burn building, and then a rescue tower that we could play with. The new burn building is the top picture, all 3 stories there. Combined, we can burn in about 15 different places in that building. Makes it much more difficult to guess where the fire is. The firefighters get to work a lot harder when they were there. So the initial burn building was built back in '87, and we tore it down and started over again in 2013. The picture on the lower left is our recruit class and their first live burn. We put them in one of the large rooms in the burn building and start a big hunk of pellets on fire while they watch and talk about fire behavior. It's their first initial look at fires, actually sitting inside where a fire is taking the oxygen out of a room and they have to breathe on their SCBA. So what do we do as a fire department? Well, unfortunately in 2020, we didn't do a whole lot of what you're seeing here because of the pandemic, but normally what we'll be doing is upper left, you can see where they're ringing the bell for the Salvation Army. The middle top picture is Sparky saying hi to the kids in one of our Night to Unite visits. Upper right-hand corner has Matt and John doing one of our school visits. We get into the elementary schools and we have grade appropriate presentations for every grade level in each elementary school. Bottom left is same thing. They're handing out the poster contest award in 4th grade. And then we have open houses usually every year. You can see Jeff there is letting the kids operate the nozzle on the 1 3/4 line. And of course we respond to calls as well. Car crashes that you can see there. Fires when we get them. Not too many fires, but enough to keep us busy. And in the bottom center picture that you see there, where you see the shirt with the blood, that's actually a mock crash. So it's a simulated crash in front of the high school. That's not a real victim. We tend not to show real victims in our pictures here. So. And also what we do is community events. Upper right-hand corner, you see the firefighters in the Fight for Air climb. That's a fundraiser for the American Heart. And in the upper left-hand corner there, you see the flag football teams. We tried flag football out for a few years. I think we had to kind of put it to rest. I think we were getting more injuries from playing flag football than we were ever responding to calls. So lots of backs and ankles going with that. So good idea. Probably we're not such football shape anymore. So the center picture, you can see the firefighter memorial. We had a service out there. We have them occasionally. Bottom right-hand corner there, you see Colleen rescuing an animal out of a tree. Yes, we do rescue animals occasionally out of trees. It happens. And you'd be surprised in the bottom left-hand corner how many cars actually decide to crash into buildings. And we get called out to those too to make sure the structure is safe enough and no dangers such as leaking gas or anything like that. Fire prevention. Fire prevention is everyone's job. All the firefighters participate. Like I said, we get into the schools, the elementary schools, do presentations. We're out for Night to Unite. We have open houses at the fire stations. We visit the local daycares, nursing homes, and senior centers, putting out our fire safety messages. Activities, we have an annual banquet for the firefighters. Bring your significant other and recognize our achievements throughout the last year. 4th of July parade, you got to have fire trucks in the 4th of July parade. We're at the state and county fairs. We do Christmas at the Villa, the local nursing home. We bring Santa and firefighters and hand out presents to the residents and do some singing. Do bell ringing for the Salvation Army at local businesses. We go to the Home and Garden Show and have a table out, and other community events where we get a chance to push our fire safety messages. We'll usually be there. So what kind of equipment do we offer? PPE do we offer for our firefighters? We supply everything you need. Helmet, the hood, the gear, boots, gloves, and masks. safety glasses, anything you need to be a firefighter. You do not supply yourself. You can only use the equipment that we supply. So how are firefighters called? Like I said, you're paid on call firefighters. You're basically at home, you're at the neighbors, you're out shopping, wherever you happen to be, available for a call. So someone calls 911, says, I need the fire department. The Dakota Communications Center, that's our countywide dispatching center. They page the appropriate station, whoever's recommended based on the computer program that needs to go to the call. Your station's pager goes off, you respond to the station, get on the apparatus, and go to the call. Every firefighter has a pager. That's how you get notified that there is a call. Firefighter training. So what is involved for our firefighters? All our firefighters have to have firefighter 1 and 2, EMR, emergency medical responder, and hazardous material operations. You get those 4 certifications as part of our Recruit Academy, and that's all covered as part of it. We have weekly training drills for the regular firefighters. Monday nights and Thursday mornings. We try and have the same drill on Monday nights as we do on Thursday mornings. Then we have OSHA required training that we do, airborne, bloodborne pathogens, the fit testing, our required annual physicals. Then we have to go to live fires every year, go through our medical refreshers. So I mentioned something, there's some minimum requirements that you have to meet in order to keep your membership. So 30% of calls and 30% of drills. So we schedule our drills, like I said, Monday night and Thursday morning. You must make 30% of all drills for a quarter. We evaluate everything quarterly. So in a given quarter, we have 21 to 25 drills. So it means you usually need to make about 7 drills to make your 30% roughly. And that can be any of the Mondays or Thursday drills, combination thereof. You just need to make about that 7 of the 25 that we offer. And then for calls, you need to make 30% of calls that out of your assigned station. Generally, if you're someone who is around, you go to work, you're at work for 8 to 10 hours based on how far you get to drive. And then you're home in the evenings. Most evenings, I don't expect you to be home all the time. You don't go to the cabin every single weekend. You're not gone all the time. You'll have no problem making 40 to 50% of the calls. Where we run into problems with people sometimes is if both daughters are on softball teams and you're the coach and you go to the cabin every other weekend or every weekend, that 30% is going to be a little tougher to make. And if you travel a lot for work, if you're gone 5 to 6 days of the week for traveling for work, it's going to be kind of tough to make your percentages. So pay and benefits for a firefighter in Apple Valley. Pay for calls and training is $17.50 an hour. Usually drills on Monday nights or Thursday mornings are a couple hours, or sometimes 3 depending on the call or the drill type. And then every hour you're on a call with a 1 hour minimum, $17.50 an hour. So we have a Firefighters Relief Association. Generally that's a retirement benefit for the firefighters. So you pay dues of 1 hour a pay each month into the Relief Association. And, you become vested after 10 years. It takes 20 years to become fully vested. So any year below 20 years, between that 10 and 20 year mark, it's basically your benefits are reduced 4% per year. So at 10 years, you're vested at 60%. Make it all the way to 20 years, you've got 100% vesting. So for example, you serve 20 years and you turn age 50 because you can't collect until you're 50 years old, $150,000 lump sum payment for your 20 years of service. Not a bad benefit for basically a part-time job. So what is our recruit process? So applications, we're taking applications now through the 29th at noon. We have a written testing, so those whose applications are filled out completely and we determine that you live or are going to move within 4 minutes of the fire station. Written testing, May 8th, it's a Saturday at 9 a.m. at Fire Station 1, or Monday night, May 10th at 6 p.m. at Fire Station 1. The written testing is just to make sure that you can read and write and take a test. There's a lot of certifications that I mentioned you have to do, the Fire 1, 2, EMR, Hazmat Ops, you need to be able to pass that certification, take the tests. So that's why we want to make sure that you're okay taking the test. There's no special knowledge that you need. You don't need to know anything really about firefighting. It's just making sure that you can have a good base knowledge and that you can read the questions and figure out the answers. So we have interviews. We'll schedule them sometime between May 17 and 21. Make a conditional offer at that point to the ones that we feel are the best fit for the stations, and also based on the number of firefighters needed out of each station. And then those who receive the conditional offer go through a criminal background check. The packet's only about an inch thick. They ask a lot about you. And for anybody who's moving on through that piece, don't try and hide it. The cops will find it. We have very good investigators with our police department, disclose everything. And we'll decide whether or not that rises to the mark of where you can't be a firefighter. So then you also have the physical agility and psychological examination. Physical is done by a local clinic. Agility test goes through NovaCare. They're an occupational clinic basically that runs you through a series of exercises to make sure that you can do you could basically do everything that's required in our job description. You can lift appropriately, you can work over your with your hands over your head, things like that. And the psychological is perhaps the scariest. You could spend 4 to 5 hours at the psychologist's office in Minneapolis. They tell us a lot that we need to know about how good of a team player you are, how well you work in groups, how well they think you're going to fit in our fire department too. Basically, once we get someone through those steps, we know we've got a great candidate for a recruit academy. And we also know that at that point, they're going to make it through our recruit academy as well. For the last 9 years that I've been very involved, either as a deputy chief or in the chief position, everyone's made it through from Apple Valley through our recruit academy. And I think the vetting process we go through to find the best candidates is a testament to that. That really shows. So recruit class for 2021 orientation, the first days that you would actually report to class, August 31 and September 2, that's a Tuesday and Thursday night from 6 to 10 roughly. Probably won't go quite that late for orientation, but those would be the first nights that you report to class. Basically, we go through a lot of paperwork, show you the stations, things like that. And then Tuesday and Thursday nights the following week for 5 nights a week, 6 to 10. That's the emergency medical responder. Alina does our classwork for that. And then after that 5 weeks to get your EMR, then we start into Firefighter 1 and 2 as just Tuesday nights. 2 days a week for 5 weeks. I thought I said that, but yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays for 5 weeks. And then Firefighter 1 and 2 is just Tuesday nights. And then you also get about 5 or 6 hours of homework to do in an online platform. And if you don't have internet at home, you can do it at the stations. But basically, all that bookwork, instead of having us lecture you, you go through the bookwork on the computer. Hazmat Ops is very similar. After you're done with Firefighter 1 and 2, it's another 4 weeks, I believe it is. Takes you into March, just Tuesday nights with the bookwork online. So probationary period. So we have an 18-month probationary period from the day basically you start. Call response, we don't have our recruit firefighters respond to calls. We wait until you pass certification tests for EMR, Fire 1, Fire 2, and Hazmat Ops before we allow you to go to a call. We figure you need to pass the test to show competency before we have you go on the scene. You might hear other departments in our academy that allow their firefighters to go to calls before they've had the training. I'm a little bit against that. One of the cities has them just report to the station and basically study equipment on trucks that are there. And another department could have them actually go on calls. They just watch them real close. We really think you should focus on your training the first 7 months that you're on the department, get all your certifications done. After that, then you go to as many calls as you want. So, and again, we supply all training that you need to get your certification to become a firefighter. So I know I went through some of that pretty quickly. I don't want to tie you up for too long. What questions do you have? You can either type them in the chat or go ahead and open up your mic and ask away.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Lucas. Or Juan.
So I I'm currently 17, and I turn 18 in June, the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be wondering if I'm too young to start this, because you guys don't like hire until the spring of next year. So like, I don't know. Would I be able to like to begin my training and stuff now?
With June in 2021 is when you turn 18?
No, June 2020. So in 2 months.
So in 2 months, yeah, June of 2021 is when you're going to turn 18. So I would have to actually ask the police on that if they can do their criminal background check on someone.
I turned 18 this year, like this year. Like, yeah.
What I'd recommend is you go ahead and apply, because basically you'll have this just a month between when the application's due and when your birthday is, when you're going to turn 18, and that might work out. Like I said, the only thing I'm not sure of is the police department. If they can do a background check, that could be one thing that we just put off until you turn 18 and then start processing at that point in time.
Yeah, because I live really close to that Essex fire station on Pilot Knob.
Super. Yeah, I'd highly recommend you go ahead and put your application in. And if we run into problems, and that's the only place I'm guessing we might have some problems is the PD side, just because they may not be, you might not be able to sign away your right to have them do the investigation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but so you think that would be something that we could put off for a month? Because yeah, I'm really close to being 18.
Yeah, like I said, if you're truly in June, you're turning 18, we might be able to make that work. So I would just have to ask them that specifically, but I'm pretty confident we can get it to work.
All right, I'll put my application in.
Super, thank you. So one of the questions, how many people are you guys looking to hire? 4 out of 1, maybe 2 out of 2, and then 4 out of 3 is kind of where the rough numbers are right now. I don't want to lock myself into solid numbers because some of it depends on the applications we get as well. But that's just generally what we're looking for. So someone at all 3 stations. All costs covered for certifications by the fire department. All costs are covered, exactly. We pay for all classwork, all books. We even pay you to go to the classes. So every hour that you're in the classroom, you get an hourly wage, and then we give you what we feel is fair hours to do the online piece itself. So usually I think that's about 3 hours per chapter that we pay. So just like you're at work, just to get certified, to get a pager so you can respond. One thing I note that some people, they apply in April, and you actually, if you're accepted and get through the process, you won't get your pager until April of 2022. That's how long it takes between the several months of this testing and background and making sure that to get you through the process to show up to class at the end of August there. And then it's 7 months worth of training before you get fully certified and we give you a pager. So you'll have to be patient, but we like to get everybody certified before they can respond to calls.
Hi, good evening, Jeff. My name's Matt. Thanks for having us tonight. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, thank you. I'm wondering about the 4-minute response to the station, or the living 4 minutes from the station, how that's calculated. I've gone onto like Google Maps and it says that mine's like 5 minutes to the Essex station, or I'm sorry, Station 3. Is that the usually what you guys use for calculation, and how strict is that if Google says I'm 5 minutes versus 4 minutes?
So I keep a stopwatch in my squad, and I drive every house 3 times, and that's the determiner of how whether or not that gets to be in. Google does good for some things. One thing they have a hard time factoring in is stoplights. So if you live 2 stoplights, if you have to go through 2 stoplights to get to a fire station, I don't think I've come across a house that will make that 4-minute requirement. I still drive every single one. Every single applicant gets driven those 3 times to make sure that they meet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, I got a couple questions, if you can hear me.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm new here from New York State. I got about 7 years firefighting, volunteer fire experience. In New York State, if I was to get hired, what's the process for somebody that has experience? Is it going through everything the same exact way, or is there any
Do you
sort
have
of?
IFSAC certifications, 1 and 2?
I do not have the national stuff now.
Yeah, you need IFSAC
Yeah, I would
certified.
assume it's okay. And then a secondary question I got for you, maybe it's not year round, but tech rescue teams, is there scuba diving teams? I was a public safety diver back in New York State. I'm just curious if there's something I can get involved with around here, or is that
Our
more of a
sheriff-
police issue around here?
Yep, our sheriff's department takes care of all
Okay.
the underwire.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, we had someone who came from California. He had 29 years of experience, retired as a captain out of California. California runs all their own certification testing. It's not recognized across the nation. It's not IFSAC certified. So, but he gladly went through. He actually worked in the academy out in California and taught firefighters. And he loved going through the academy and learning it all over again. Of course, like I said, he's a retired firefighter. He had all kinds of time. He enjoyed it a lot. So.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Dude, I know New York State is kind of tough with their, nobody really recognizes their stuff, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, can you hear me?
Can hear you good.
When you apply, do you apply to a specific station, or do you apply generally to become a firefighter and then get assigned to the best fit station?
So it depends on, you have to be within 4 minutes of a station. There's very few spots where you could live where you would have a choice between stations. Very limited areas where you could live, but say choosing between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. Odds are you're living closer to one of those stations. That's the stations you're assigned to.
Okay, thank you.
All very good questions. Any additional? Well, with no additional questions, I want to thank everyone for taking part in our informational session. And if you ever get any more questions that pop up, just call our main line, the 952-953-2600. That's also on our internet page. So anybody in the office here can answer your questions for you. Anytime you've got any questions at all, just give us a holler. We'll answer them for you.
All right, I actually had one more because I read something on the page. The Explorers program. I've heard about it before, but I never really understood how to sign up or do any of that stuff. They said that they have meetings every other Sunday. I was wondering if they're still doing that.
So basically, Matt, you want to take this one? Do you got a mic with you?
Can you hear me, Chuck?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Our Explorer program is kind of a sponsorship between the Boy Scouts, the Learning for Life Council, and then the different departments or different careers. Currently, we're not meeting due to COVID and all the lovely stuff that's done for us. But typically, we would meet every other Sunday, like it states on our website, for those kids that are ages between 14 and 21. So they kind of explore a career. Obviously, we focus on the fire side of things because that's what we do. But there's lots of different exploring opportunities out there. So unfortunately, right now, we're not meeting. Hopefully, that can kind of come up here again pretty soon. But we're kind of limited on what the Learning for Life Council will let us do because they sponsored the insurance in case anybody were to get hurt or something like that during our training, which luckily we haven't had, but we need to be kind of following their rules. If that answers your question.
So you guys don't know when you guys are going to be starting that up again?
Hopefully soon, but we don't have any set date, no.
All right. Thank you.
Matt used to run the Explore program, so. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for your time again, and I think we'll end the meeting here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.